everybody. Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez. We are T-minus 2 months? Less than 2 months from the games now?
Yeah, less
We're
than 2
getting
months.
close.
Getting close.
8 weeks.
That sounds about right. 7-8 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, whichever comes first. We're going to continue to get you ready for that. We'll jump right into it today, get you the show rundown, then we'll thank our sponsors. We're going to go through our headlines, and then we're going to revisit our top questions going into semifinals, because we always like to kind of going into the season, I should say. We always like to check back on our questions going into the season at different touch points, and now that we're past the semifinals with now just one stage of competition remaining, we figured that would be a good time. And then we, as part of that conversation, we're going to bring on our good friend Wilson Pack, who has run the Syndicate Crown / Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Championship since the dawn of time, and is either one of the best event organizers out there. Really, and there are a lot of really good ones. But his events are always well run. I think always well organized, and Wilson is a guy that has a wealth of knowledge, and with the way that things seem to be shifting in the event landscape, with now this season CrossFit going back to partners running them, and that probably evolving even more now as we move forward in the future. We thought that Wilson would be a really good guy to talk to you about that. Okay, before we get into any of that, we want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Garmin. Garmin is the absolute best smartwatch out there on the market. I am continually amazed at what this thing can do. I'm still diving into the Epix Pro model and learning all about it. And the good thing I think about Garmin is that it is a one-time charge. You buy the watch, and then there's no subscription fee. The data is yours for life. And you can, they give you sleep tracking. There's all kinds of performance data that you can dive into. You can nerd out on this stuff as much as you want and go as deep as you want. And there's so many other bells and whistles, like things that I haven't even gotten into. Is how to track your workouts, look at different data. The battery life is incredible. I think I've had this thing maybe 3-4 months, and I've charged it twice in that time.
The battery is absurd. Even when you're running, even when you're actively using GPS, like for your golf caddy, it's fantastic, or like out on a run, or when you're actively tracking a workout. Like I've gone on, zone 2 runs for 90 minutes to 2 hours, and
my God,
barely dents the battery, and the GPS locating to like give accurate data on my run is fantastic too. And they got a sale going on right now.
They do.
Yeah.
Garmin.com. One of the Garmin's athletes who's going to the games for the 11th time now in his career is Cole Sager. He shared a lot of his favorite things about the Garmin with us, and one of them is sleep tracking.
Sleep tracking. I love the sleep tracking. I have worn and used a lot of different wearables and devices that measure sleep tracking. But what I really like about them is they will give you a sleep quality score. And that's based off of how much REM sleep did you get, how much time awake did you spend, and what level of deep sleep did you get, as well as also looking at your sleep routine. And so just having those metrics to be able to determine, like, hey, is my sleep routine set up nicely, is really good to help people dial in their sleep, because sleep is ultimately the best thing for recovery, mental health. It fixes an array of things. So sleep tracking is definitely at the top of my list there.
All right, big thanks to Cole
Sleep
Sager.
fixes everything.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you guys get the like the daily recommendations when you wake up, like that little morning routine thing?
Yep.
Absolutely love that. Basically, like you wake up, once you can set your alarm. I use the haptic alarm on my wrist, so I don't have to wake my wife up. Is awesome. And when I wake up every morning, I have a list of metrics that I want it to feed me, basically, as well as training recommendations based on like all of that, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Garmin.com, Epix Pro. That's the model that they're really pushing for CrossFit athletes. So big thanks to them for being on board. You can scan the QR code on the screen.
I was gonna say we also have links in our bio for
Mm.
IG. Check those out too. Let them know we sent you. Help support the channel too, especially with their sale that they got going on right now.
Absolutely. Okay, let's dive in just to our headlines here really fast. Something that's going on in the peripheral kind of competitive fitness world. We had the HYROX World Championships last weekend. I believe they were in France. Alexander Runshevich won for the men. Hunter McIntyre, a name that you guys may be familiar with since he competed at the games back in 2019, finished fifth. And then Megan Jacoby from the good old US of A, she finished in first, won the championship division for the women. And that championship division is known like the tip top of the spear. If you guys don't know a ton about HYROX, is that Elite 15 category. So they had that this past weekend. And I think that sport is fantastic. I mean, they've got the secret sauce and they are growing and it's fun to watch. I think it's easily broadcasted because it's very simple to understand. Point A, point B, do all this stuff in between, never changes. And really
Their
looking forward to
content looks good too.
Yeah, they do. And
Like they got a good media team.
Yeah, I think that there's got to be a world in which CrossFit and HYROX can like collaborate because I think there's just like a natural cross pollination there, and
yeah, look at the lead. If you look at the top of the leaderboard, right? So like Megan Jacoby won, but and right behind her, Lauren Weeks in second as out of C2X CrossFit. That's where Marcin Heber and Julian train out of in Salt Lake, out of Excel Fitness, which is an awesome gym. But she's been in the CrossFit space for a long time. She's done the Open since 2014. She's competed at regionals and semifinals. Regionals is twice as an individual, once on a team. She competed at semifinals in 2021 on a team, and she finished second. And you go down the leaderboard on the women's side, Michaela Norman, who finished 10th. She was a games team athlete with that Nordic CrossFit team, and an individual athlete in Europe for a long time, and someone who has always excelled at running and the longer stuff. Just switched right over and is competing there.
One thing that I thought was interesting that happened this past week, our good friend, I think it was Fluffy Duck. I'm pretty sure it was Fluffy Duck. Our boy Josh Pirtle put up a poll as to whether or not people thought that the HYROX champions should be invited to the CrossFit Games. And while I think that's a fun topic of conversation, I don't think that should happen. Nor do I think CrossFit Games champions should be invited to the HYROX World Championship. They're two totally different things.
Yeah, you want to be able to respect the qualification process of both sides, but I think you can invite the CrossFit Games champion to a HYROX event, right, where they have opportunity to qualify if they compete. Just as like any it's like pretty easy for any HYROX person to compete in CrossFit through the Open, which is, most of them do that anyways.
Yeah,
so.
It could be fun. And again, without thinking about any of the logistics, having a showcase division at the games where you could invite a HYROX athlete, a tactical games athlete, celebrities that do CrossFit, and have just like one heat. It can be mixed men and women together, just like the celebrities of the sport or people from other sports doing some of the workouts or events.
Yeah, or you do a hybrid event.
Yeah, and I think the games, it's a good opportunity. Why not do a HYROX race at the games? Why not just take it and do it? Have the games athletes do it. Then you have a nice little kind of comparison, which is fun.
Yeah.
We did it with the Criterion. We had a Criterion race in 2018 on bikes. Like no one's going to mistake CrossFitters for professional cyclists. But if you recall, like that event got written up. I think it was in Outside magazine or one of the magazines that covers something about how this is a great way to cover the sport. I do think that there might be some athletes, and I've said this before, some CrossFit athletes who could do very well in HYROX. And there are probably some HYROX athletes, if you got a barbell on their hands and started teaching them some more higher skilled movements, they could do really well in CrossFit. So I would love to see it, but I don't think you want to get into that world.
I mean, Miriam von Rohr is an example of that. Someone who's done really well at HYROX and competed at semifinals this year, won the Open. But
okay, next thing we want to talk about is the CrossFit Service Cup. That's going on right now. Actually ends today, the 13th. They've been doing a competition. It's a virtual competition that asks athletes to complete 3 workouts over the course of 1 week. The competition will include competitive, RX, and community divisions, and service members in the following professions are invited to join. So affiliate owners, CrossFit trainers, medical professionals, educator, military veterans, active duty military, law enforcement, firefighter, first responder, EMS responder. It started June 6th, ends on June 13th. So I think it's something cool that CrossFit is doing for people who make a difference in our communities, and we'll see how that sorts out and what comes of that. But I think anytime that you can get that community involved in a competition is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's had multiple iterations over the last few years. It like went away and then it came back. Mayhem did a version of it.
Part of the Open, right?
Yeah. And yeah,
well, Mayhem still does their thing, don't they?
Yeah, believe so.
Okay. That's really it for kind of major news. Kind of been a slow week. Do want to remind everybody that Lauren's interview with Hattie Canio is up on our YouTube channel. If you haven't watched that already, you can. She's one of the first-time qualifiers to the CrossFit Games. We're going to have qualifier conversations throughout these weeks now leading up to the CrossFit Games. We got Amy Kringle coming up as well. So she'll be probably have her next week. And then also the latest episode, I should say, of Death By is up. Some good conversation with Aaliyah Miller, Tim Paulson, and Tommy Marquez was on that show as well. I thought you guys had some really good discussions about some of the things going on in the community. So definitely check that out. And before we get into the main part of our show, we want to share our dog of the week. Ooh. We are partnering with we are partnering with Barbells for Bullies, an organization that we've known for a while. Alex and Lindsay, they do fantastic work with Barbells for Bullies, and we decided to partner up with them for the dog days of summer to help get some dogs some homes. And this dog, Hexam, 6-month-old Great Dane, who is described as a house donkey, comes from the same rescue where I got my dog Dozer, and that is Dogwood Animal Rescue. That is just north of here. They're up in Sonoma County, here in California. Like, they're fantastic people. I've been able to attend a couple of events that they've put on. They have a really cool event that they do. I think it's every summer. It's like a wine walk that they do at a winery, Kunde Winery. Tommy's covered up by the Garmin thing. Sorry about that. But they really do some great work. You get to take your dogs out to a winery and we walk them around, and it's a lot of fun. So Dogwood Animal Rescue is where, again, I got one of my dogs. Fantastic people. If you're interested in adopting Hexam, the house donkey, you can go to barbellsforbullies.com. Check out Barbells for Bullies on their Instagram page, Dogwood Animal Rescue on Instagram, and you can put in an application. And again, if you're out of the area and you still want to adopt Hexam, and let's shuffle through the pictures here. He had a tumultuous 6-month life, but now that he is with his foster, he is undoubtedly improving. Hexam was living with a person who did not have housing as a new pup when he contracted parvo. Dogwood Animal stepped in and helped him fight through, and now this sweet boy is a whopping 100 pounds and looking for his forever home. What a good boy. So, yeah, if you want to adopt him and you're out of state, doesn't matter. Still put in an application. Barbells for Bullies can definitely help facilitate that.
And Great Danes make surprisingly good apartment dogs, because they tend to like curl up and stay within like their place. Yeah. They're not like, they don't like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Dozer's part Great Dane, and he has that ability to do that, to just like
curl up
and
yeah,
absolutely.
House my dogs don't curl up; they spread out.
My wife calls me.
they infest. They get everywhere. Barbells for Bullies on Instagram. Dog days of summer. Let's get some dogs. Some